So get this, the Arctic ice, it's melting 13 times faster than pretty much anywhere else on Earth. And as that ice disappears, it's unlocking a frozen frontier that's turning into a global powder keg. We're not just talking about climate change anymore. This is about a fundamental shift in global power. And it all boils down to one crucial question, a question that's going to define the next decade. Who is winning this new Cold War at the top of the world? I'm telling you, the answer is going to change everything, and you won't believe who's already way out in front. Because what's at stake here? I mean, at a bare minimum, is $1 trillion. That's just in the newly accessible oil and gas reserves. A prize like that has the world's superpowers absolutely scrambling for control. So let's dive into that, the $1 trillion melt. We're talking about a brand new ocean of opportunity. Strategic sea lanes are opening up that could literally redraw the entire map of global trade as we know it. It's an absolute game changer. The Northern Sea Route, it slashes the shipping time between Asia and Europe by 40%. We could see trade through there triple by 2050. Okay, but let's pump the brakes for a second. A little reality check. Sure, you save 14 days compared to the Suez Canal. Great, but Russia controls it, and that means you're paying them premium transit fees, and you're forced to use their icebreaker escorts. So is it really a game changer, or is it just a new Russian cash grab? But this is so much bigger than just shipping lanes. It's like a treasure chest has just been unlocked. We're looking at an estimated 13% of the entire world's undiscovered oil, a mind-blowing 30% of its undiscovered natural gas, and on top of all that, vast, untapped deposits of rare earth minerals. You know, the stuff that's critical for all our modern tech. And, you know, that's where things get really messy. Take the Lomonosov Ridge. It's this massive undersea mountain range that's thought to be packed with these resources. Well, Russia, Canada, and Denmark are all filing overlapping claims to it. They're all using the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, to argue it's just an extension of their own territory. It's a total legal quagmire with trillions of dollars hanging in the balance. And right at the heart of this huge land grab is one power that's already dug in and dominant. We have to talk about the bear on the ice, Russia's Arctic fortress. The sheer scale of Russia's advantage up there is just staggering. I mean, they control half, 50% of the entire Arctic coastline. They have the world's only fleet of nuclear-powered icebreakers, and since 2015, they've built over 20 new military bases. That brings their grand total to over 100 military facilities in the region. It's just total domination. Right, and we need to be clear, this isn't just them playing defense. This is a military flex, plain and simple. We've seen Russian bombers repeatedly buzzing the coast of Alaska, flying right up to the edge of US airspace. They're not being subtle about it. They're actively signaling their presence and their intent to everyone. But Russia's not the only major player here, not by a long shot. China is making an incredibly ambitious, incredibly strategic play for the Arctic with what they're calling their Polar Silk Road. Okay, so China is thousands of miles away from the Arctic Circle, but check this out. They've cleverly started calling themselves a near-Arctic state. It's pure geopolitical maneuvering to justify their ambitions and get a seat at the table. And to do it, they're cozying up to Moscow. But don't be fooled, there are definitely some serious trust issues between those two. You can see their strategy unfolding. They're extending their massive Belt and Road initiative straight up to the North Pole, pouring billions into Russian energy projects. They even ran their first ever joint Coast Guard patrol with Russia. For China, the Arctic is the perfect backdoor, a way to get around sanctions and secure resources. But you know, Moscow is being very careful to limit Beijing's role to just investor, for now. So all of this activity has finally forced the West to wake up. What we're seeing now from the United States and its NATO allies is a pretty desperate scramble to catch up. If you just look at it on paper, Russia seems really isolated. You look at the Arctic Council, that's the main group for the region, and every single member except for Russia is now a part of NATO. But here's the thing, political isolation doesn't mean a thing when you have that massive on-the-ground military and infrastructure advantage. And this right here is exactly why. Just look at this icebreaker gap. Russia has a fleet of over 40 heavy icebreakers. The United States, it has 2. Just 2. This single chart tells you everything you need to know about the massive hardware disadvantage the US is facing. They are fundamentally falling behind. And this kind of imbalance, it's raising the stakes like you wouldn't believe. We're moving way beyond a simple resource race. Now it feels like we're in a countdown to an actual conflict. We're at the flashpoint. So let me be crystal clear. The Arctic has become a powder keg. All those decades of relative calm and low tensions, they're over. The entire region is now primed for a major confrontation. And it's not some far-off future scenario. It is happening as we speak. NATO is running these huge military exercises all across the region. And what's the response? Russia and China are conducting joint bomber patrols over strategic spots like Greenland. It's a classic tit-for-tat military escalation, and it's getting more intense. And let's not forget, this military standoff is happening at the same time as a whole bunch of other crises. The risk of a catastrophic oil spill in that pristine environment is massive. Indigenous communities and their way of life are under threat, and the whole thing is being governed by international laws from 1982 that are completely out of date and unprepared for this new reality. So you take the overlapping land claims, the massive military buildup, and these totally outdated laws, and a lot of analysts are making a pretty chilling prediction that the first armed incident in the Arctic could happen as soon as 2026. So if we had to make a scorecard for right now, this is where we stand. Russia has the dominant military lead, no question. China's economic influence is rising at an incredible speed, and that leaves the USA in a position of scrambling to catch up and regain its footing. But here's a final thought. What if the winner isn't a country at all? The ultimate wildcard in all of this is the climate itself. Some kind of unpredictable environmental backlash, a superstorm or rapid freeze, could completely flip the board and make the entire region inaccessible or just unprofitable for everybody. So what do you think? Who is going to control the top of the world? Drop your prediction, Russia, China, or the USA in the comments below. And hey, if you want us to break down the coming clashes in part 2, let us know by liking this explainer. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our next GeoFlashpoint.